Minecraft speedruns are known for their high-speed gameplay that casual players can't even begin to understand. And that very thought made me think about the various techniques that speedrunners use. There's things like finding a buried treasure out of nowhere, locating a bastion by seemingly spinning around randomly, and placing another portal down to spawn in the stronghold. But don't those seem a little bit fishy? And why are there so many people in the comment sections of world records claiming the runner cheated? The most popular speedrunning leaderboard in Minecraft is random seed Glitchless. This is actually different from other popular speed games where players use all the glitches they can find to beat the game as fast as possible. But for Minecraft, glitched runs have way less players. What is classified as a glitch and how are runners pulling off seemingly impossible stunts without them? Is the most popular Minecraft speedrunning category, random seed glitchless, actually glitchless? Well, today I'm going to go through some techniques that players use and figure out if they break the rules or explain why something that seems like a glitch isn't. To start off, I think it would be good to define what a glitch is. A glitch is a sudden, usually temporary malfunction or irregularity of equipment. So, for example, clipping through the wall in a game like Mario Odyssey counts as a glitch because the player isn't intended to go through the surface. When we analyze Minecraft strategies, we're looking for unintentional behaviors of the game. So let's start off by going through some world records and pointing out some things that the runners do that don't feel normal. This is Drip's 1.16 Minecraft world record. So far, everything looks pretty normal. It's not like he's doing anything insane and... What the fuck? Did he know it would be there? Has he played on the seed before? Is he cheating? This is known as mapless buried treasure, and as the name would imply, it's how you find a buried treasure without a map. Let me explain what's going on here. By pressing Shift and F3, you're able to open up the pie chart. Now, this can tell you a ton of information, and we'll be revisiting this later. You'll notice the text under it, which are various menus of data. By pressing the number that corresponds to the text next to it, we can get to the directory we need: game render, level, entities. This orange sliver represents the amount of block entities in your render view. When it spikes up, you know you're looking at an entity such as a chest or mob spawner. Because the game detects the entity as it goes into view on the right side of the screen, we can use this to find its location. Something else that runners do is change their resolution. This makes it so the block entity sliver spikes up when you're directly facing the chest. Once the runner gets a good reading, they go to 99 in the chunk they think it's in and dig to find a buried treasure. That explanation took a while, but I hope you understand what's going on here. We now need to determine if this is a glitch. To put it shortly, no. At no point is the game experiencing any malfunctions or irregularities. The F3 menu is an intentional part of the game along with the pie chart. I'm not sure how, but smart members of the Minecraft speedrunning community were able to understand how it works. Now, I'm sure that Mojang didn't assume that players would use the pie chart to find chests, but they put it in the game and we used it to our advantage. And because of this, as mind-blowing as this technique is, it is not a glitch. You know what else isn't a glitch? Hitting that subscribe button. That was so stupid. But what about changing your resolution? You can change your resolution in any game and it doesn't go through any irregularities. All we're doing is making mapless buried treasure a little bit easier with an intentional mechanic. Let's move on. Now, this is a pretty minuscule and unnecessary part of the game, but it kinda sparked this video for me in the first place. When you're swimming or riding in a boat, you're able to adjust the camera just right in a way that the ocean is completely visible. So, what's going on here? Honestly, I don't know, but I think it has something to do with Minecraft not knowing what light level to choose since your camera is between the bright sky and the dark ocean. What we really care about is if this is a glitch or not. Well, why don't we take a look at speedrun.com rules. Banned techniques include duplication glitches, save and quit invulnerability abuse, shearing sheep during the dying animation? Why is that one so specific? And X-ray glitches. Well, if anything, this does seem somewhat like an X-ray. I mean, we're seeing through water as clear as day. When considering our definition of a glitch, this definitely feels like a malfunction that wasn't intended to happen. So, there we have it. Minecraft random seed glitchless isn't actually glitchless. But come on, this is nothing. Something as minuscule as this is a glitch? It doesn't even save any time and isn't a necessary technique by any means. Obviously, it would be silly to ban every run that uses this, right? Well, there's actually a reason why we haven't. If we keep reading through the rules, we'll see this. In general, we make rulings based on whether glitches can be done accidentally, how severely they stray from the spirit of the game as seen by the general Minecraft community, and whether they make the speedruns more or less fun to play. The key phrase here is accidentally. Something like seeing through the water happens all the time just by moving the camera around. It's not something that players have to actively do, it's something that happens by accident. And for this reason, while it is a glitch, we can make an exception. Let's take a look at something pretty similar. Something that, as far as I'm aware of, doesn't have any official ruling on. When playing the game, speedrunners have to manipulate their render distance a lot. Whether it's for certain techniques or just to see what's in front of them, very commonly you'll see a speedrunner increase and decrease their RD. Sometimes they perform this with the hotkey F3 and F, but you might notice something as you do this. As your RD changes, each chunk unloads and reloads the blocks. However, what stays visible are the mobs. This makes it so you can see a zombie pigman or something through a wall. But we can take advantage of this. Bastions are unique in that they contain a lot of piglins. Let's say you are digging through a wall to find a bastion and just couldn't find it. Something you could do is just increase your render distance to view for a large amount of piglins. Or another scenario, you can do the same thing to look for blazes in a Nether Fortress. I don't think this has a name, but I'll just call it RD X-ray. Surely something like this can't be allowed, right? Well, for one thing, we know it's a glitch. Obviously this wasn't an intentional mechanic, but earlier we said that seeing through water was okay because it could happen by accident and doesn't stray from the spirit of the game. But in this scenario, I would actually assume that this is a banned glitch. It's not something you can do by accident. I mean, come on, increasing and decreasing your render distance to find structures, and it definitely doesn't follow the spirit of the game. You're using a form of X-ray to find a structure. So for the RD X-ray, I would say that this is a banned glitch. This is just something I observed on my own, however. I'm not sure if there are any accepted runs on the leaderboard that have ever used this before. Let me know if you've ever seen a run using this. It's getting a little boring, so let's get an example of a real glitch. For this, let's take a gander into the any % random seed category where we see the world record of 3 minutes and 51 seconds by Insla. Immediately, they see an Enderman and know that this run could be good. Oh! Why? Well, with glitches, you're able to duplicate items and create save states. This is done through the task manager by forcing your game to crash. Eventually, they get a ton of pearls and obsidian. They get into the nether, kill a blaze, and duplicate the rods. There's a ton of stuff in this run I don't really understand, but Insla eventually kills the dragon utilizing every glitch they know. As a side note, Minecraft runs are timed by in-game time. This is why, despite taking 25 real-world minutes, the run is counted as 351. Obviously, these are glitches because, well, look at it. Now that we have a good understanding of what glitches are, let's continue to watch techniques from world records. Moving to a different runner, we have Nofear with his run of 7 minutes and 24 seconds. What I specifically wanted to talk about was what he does when he enters the nether. Immediately, he turns his FOV down, looks around the general area, and starts running. We see that he was able to find the bastion, almost as if he's played the seed before. Well, let me explain what he did. This is an E-ray. You'll notice this E value in the top left, and that represents the amount of entities in your view. Since bastions contain a high concentration of entities, speedrunners are able to use this to find them. By lowering your FOV down to 30, it will help us pinpoint the exact direction. As a bastion enters your view, even through blocks, this number will spike up indicating where to go. Almost all speedruns use this, and now I have to ask the question, is this a glitch? No. Nothing done here is a malfunction of hardware. Once again, using the F3 menu and looking at data isn't a glitch. This brings me to another technique that isn't a glitch. Speedrunners need to find fortresses, and they do this with a technique known as PyDar. With the pie chart, you can use it to find block entities such as a mod spawner which fortresses have. By making it so the fortress is one chunk away from being rendered in, you can cross over a chunk in each direction to find where to go. A ton of people don't understand this, but using the F3 menu isn't a glitch and isn't cheating. Now that that's out of the way, there's something else that Nofear does that I want to talk about. As he enters the fortress, you'll notice that he throws an ender pearl and immediately lowers his render distance. This is known as a pearl hang. When a pearl is thrown into an unloaded chunk, it won't land. Nofear can increase his render distance at any point and the pearl will fall, teleporting to wherever he threw it. He gets his blaze rods, then increases his render distance to end up where he wants to be. Let's get into the specifics of how this technique works. Minecraft as a game only loads what is in your render distance. This is done so the game doesn't have to process the whole world at one time. By the way, there's a few exceptions to this. There's a few chunks at your spawn that are always loaded. Also, nether portals stay rendered for about 30 seconds after you enter or exit them. Whenever something isn't loaded, you can consider it as frozen. In our example, the ender pearl is frozen in mid-air waiting to be rendered so it can land. This can be used for other reasons as well. A ghast in the distance shooting fireballs at you? Unload it and keep it trapped in the dark abyss of the unknown. I'm sure you're used to me saying this by now, but this isn't a glitch. I mean, there's literally a setting that allows you to change your render from 2 to 32. While it's meant to be used for computer hardware differences, the mechanic is still the same. Speedrunners, like always, just manage to figure out how to use it to their advantage. This next one's a doozy. While it doesn't refer to glitches, it more so relates to cheating. It's a topic that's been covered before, but I want to discuss it. Speedrunners need to find the stronghold in order to get to the end. The way they do this is with a calculator. An external program, known as NinjaBrain Bot, is able to measure your eyes and tell you where the stronghold is. If you're unsure how this works, let me give you a quick explanation. Strongholds generate in rings. An eye of Ender will point to the closest stronghold in one of the rings. By throwing 2 eyes, you're able to do some a squared plus b squared shit and triangulate the location of the stronghold. The bot is pretty much just doing the math for you. Almost every single runner uses this, and it is legal. Let's take a look at it with Doogile's former world record. He throws one and the calculator spits back a reading of 32.5% confidence. After another, it 100% knows where the stronghold is. Doogile travels to the corresponding nether coordinates, places a portal down, and ends up directly in the stronghold. So while this isn't a glitch, should this really be allowed in a Minecraft speedrun, an external program finding the stronghold for you? And my answer to this is kinda. The example we looked at had Doogile throw 2 eyes to find it. In my opinion, speedrunners, while unlikely, are already able to do this if they could do their triangulation correctly. Let's take another look at something that's a little bit more iffy. In Drip's world record, we see him throw 1 eye and oh, well, would you look at that? The bot knows with 100% certainty where the stronghold is. When Drip goes to these coordinates, we're able to confirm that, yep, the calculator knew what it was saying. I'm sure there's a way to do this, but personally, I think it's magic. And it's hard to say, but I don't think this follows the spirit of the game. At least with 2 eyes, it's still somewhat similar to what a human can do, but a human just can't do this. One-eye triangulation, while not possible in every scenario, just involves too much external assistance. And for that reason, I really don't think that something like this should be allowed. Now we reach an interesting roadblock. Should this calculator be banned alongside every run that uses it? Should we keep the existing runs and ban future runs from using it? Well, my solution is to do nothing. At this point, it would be impossible to do anything about it. I'm sure that almost every runner uses this bot, and banning all of them is a little bit extreme. And it's not like we can ban the use of it for the future either. That would give past runs a very large advantage. Frankly, there's just nothing to do at this point. While I don't think it's very honest, I myself use the calculator for my speedruns. It's too powerful to justify not using it. Shout out to Curryway for being one of the sole survivors who don't use it. He's the GOAT. I also don't think that speedrunners who use this should be ridiculed. It's just the game we play, and doing everything in your power to be as fast as possible is something I commend. If you want to be as good as everyone else, then use the calculator or be so astronomically ahead that you don't need it. It's like every other competitive game. Why play the low tier Bowser when you can pick the top tier? Let's move on. Once runners get into the stronghold, they do another technique known as preemptive. In short, it uses the pie chart to scan for mob spawners. For the same reasons as those, this isn't a glitch. The F3 menu lets you know a ton of stuff just like this. Finally, once in the end, speedrunners have 2 ways of killing the dragon. The first, known as a 1 cycle, uses beds as the dragon perches. I don't think anyone thinks otherwise, but this is not a glitch. Beds deal knockback and damage, and is how this is possible. The other method is a 0 cycle. Same principle, except runners build up to the dragon's flight path and blow up beds there. This is also not a glitch. There's just not a lot of glitches in this game. Despite how fast and bizarre the techniques can look, they're not exactly game-breaking glitches. There's one more thing I want to talk about though. Similar to a calculator, it doesn't refer to glitches but rather cheating. Speedrunners use mods, and I know that when you hear mods, it might immediately sound unfair, but let me run through what they do. Looking through my own mods list, a majority of them are meant just for performance. Another one is an automatic timer, which is just a really nice quality of life mod. The others are meant for resetting purposes. Runners use a thing known as the wall. It lets them see a world and reset them depending on if they want to play it or not. This is done with world preview, which lets you see a snippet of the seed before you load in. It's the only mod that's a little bit questionable. For example, imagine you see a shipwreck in your world preview, so that's where you start running. While this only saves mere milliseconds, it's something that can't be done without mods. So, is this fair? Resetting seeds is a major part of speedrunning. It might not be the most fair, but I don't think it goes against the spirit of the game. Banning this mod would be way too major of a change, and I believe a ton of people would stop playing if this went through. So, once again, there's nothing we can do. It's a little bit boring, but this game truly is glitchless. But even if they were glitches, who cares? All these techniques help speedrunners push the human limit of Minecraft. As we get closer and closer to the theoretical limit, more questionable techniques will be developed, and I can't wait. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.